folks, welcome back to another Throat Punch Lunch. We want to thank you so much for coming back to join us for another episode. We have some cool segments lined up for you this week. I have been with the rest of the guys at PAX Unplugged, so I've only got something from PAX Unplugged prepared for you, so we'll get to that a little bit later, but I do have a couple of segments that are holiday themed, but you know, it doesn't have to be holiday themed. Themed episodes are not my bag, so we're going to go ahead and just let the contributors do what they would like to do, whatever on their mind and on their gaming tables. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get to it.
Hi, this is Ambie from Boardgame Blitz, and this is Strategically Thematic, a segment where I talk about theme in different strategic games. This time, I'm talking about Baseball Highlights 2045. Baseball Highlights is a two-player deck-building card game where you're managing a team of futuristic baseball players. In the future, baseball games last 6 innings, and there are cyborgs and robots that play alongside natural humans. The game is a series of mini-games, each of which represents one baseball game in the World Series. Each mini-game lasts 6 turns, which are the 6 innings of a game. On your turn, you play one card, and then your opponent will play a card in response, and you go back and forth until the game is over. Each card can have multiple abilities, defensive and offensive. When you play the card, the defense is in response to your opponent's previous card, and then the offense decides how many people you could get on base. One neat mechanic is that there are different speeds of the batters: slow, average, and fast. When the runners are on base, they'll move forward when there are future hits, but they advance based on their speed. Slow runners always move 1 base per hit. Average ones will score from a second base if a single is hit, and fast runners move an extra base per hit. But just like in real baseball, if there's a slow runner in front of a fast runner, the fast runner will need to slow down to stay a base behind. So when you're choosing the order of your lineup, you want to keep in mind the speed of the runners. The different players also have different strengths which go well with the theme. For example, robots tend to be really good hitters, but they're slow runners. Some players also have special abilities representing their ability to hit or field well. For example, this cyborg is a good pitcher, and robots can't hit off him, so his ability cancels all hits when played against the robot card. The players you use each game also determine how much money you bring in from the ticket sales. Popular players will give you more money, but unpopular players, like robots, don't bring in any money. Between each minigame, you recruit new team members using the money you gathered during that game. So you can improve your team and even try to get players specifically to compete against your opponent's top players. But each game you can only have 15 players in your lineup, so when you recruit new players, you need to replace one of your existing players. You have to make sure you choose wisely to keep your team working well together. Baseball Highlights is a really neat game that brings the highlights of baseball games to the table. Even though the theme is a futuristic version of baseball, the main parts still feel similar, and the back and forth play to counter each player your opponent uses is really fun and exciting. Thanks for watching Strategically Thematic. Let me know what you think in the comments.
What's up? Throat punchy. Beat to it. Ha, 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 ha. We're here in Las Vegas. Very sunny Las Vegas. We have been hearing about this place behind us here, the Meepleville Board Game Cafe. We've seen it on the Dice Tower. I'm like, man, that looks like a great board game cafe. So we're here to check it out.
This is Meepleville, and this is Adventures in Board Gaming. Yeah.
Oh, hi everybody. How you doing?
This is the man behind it all. This is the guy in charge, and you have made a great place here. So do you mind showing us around, and so we can see like
what we're getting into with this place?
Sure, absolutely. Well, walking into Meepleville, this is our retail section up front. As you can see, it's quite extensive. We have well over 600 titles in the store. And then once you pass this point, it's $7 a person, but we also have different nights where it's varied. It gives you access to about 2,000 games we have in the library. Starting up front, this is where we put our newer games that we're just adding to the library. Not necessarily new games, but ones that are new to us. Of course, yeah. Down here you can see the real popular games. That's why there's several copies of each. You guys are all familiar
50 King of Tokyos. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Will Wheaton from the Tabletop Show.
Will Wheaton. We just saw him yesterday, yes.
Yes, and we got the Dice Tower Essential section.
Dice Tower!
Yes.
Mine's not this.
Yes. Tom needs to put more games in here, too.
I agree.
Yes. Over there, that is one of my crowning achievements with 3M, Avalon Hill, SPI, all the bookshelf games.
Yeah.
See over there, there's some strange games we have in the corner.
I love it.
Section. And then through the giant meeple, right there.
Big old meeple. Look at that thing.
Yep. That leads into our cafe.
What are you?
So there's like my TV game show collection. So,
that's awesome.
I know it's amazing some of the board games they made for the TV show.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I'm sure all of these shows were worth having again.
This is basically every thrift store throwback game we would ever play always. It's just every single one of these games, if we found a thrift store, we'd be like, we're playing that because that's going to be weird.
How many do you think we can steal?
4.
I'm going to save heck of money, dude.
Okay, we got hands-on stuff.
Yeah, so we have like giant Jenga, spinball. We have a crocodile board in the back.
Lord of the Rings!
Transportation, monsters and zombies, space.
It's everything.
Yeah.
Love the thematic breakdowns.
Yeah, and then we have a little room over here, sponsored by Yellow. Fantastic company.
Well, that's wonderful.
Yeah, and as you can see, it's painted yellow, and that's pretty much Meepleville.
Sweet.
Well, thank you so much.
You guys are the store that makes the library for MeepleCon, correct? You guys are behind MeepleCon
Absolutely.
right here in Las Vegas? Mm-hmm. That was the first convention that we ever went to.
Really?
That's where we met the Dice Tower guys. Yep.
Yeah, so we're absolutely going to come back and stuff.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Yes.
that, by the way.
Absolutely.
That's been super fun.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
Yeah, no problem. Meepleville, man.
Woo!
2 thumbs way up.
All right. Thank you.
Hey, look, we made a friends. We got the Crystal Paisano from the Boardgame of Blades there from the Dice Tower. You guys know Crystal. I'm going to stop that.
Yeah, and it's Alex Goldsmith from Gray Fox Games. He's the chief noisemaker over there.
Oh, yeah, he be peddling their wares, and we are playing Queen Domino. Look at that fun game.
Yeah, we got this game at Unrivaled.
Indeed, and now Crystal actually showed us how to play Magic Maze, which is crazy fun because
it's so much fun.
You can't talk, so you have to slam that little red meeple around to get people to pay attention. It's a super co-op game.
And we don't pay attention very well, and so this one was super tough, but man, an absolute blast. You get the giggles going hard.
Big time, just great fun. Nailed it. Oh man, you know what place nailed it? Meepleville.
Nice.
Same time, dude. Nah, don't break my junk cart.
I hit his head anyway. Yeah, so that's going to be it for us in Adventures in Board Gaming. It was really fun coming all the way out here. It's kind of a Adventures in Board Gaming of opportunity because we were like, oh, we're here. We should film. This is awesome. Like, what a great place. What a wonderful people. The gentleman, Tim, that you saw who was touring us around, he's the guy who runs Meepleville, and just what a great dude.
Right. We got to hang out with Crystal. We got to hang out with Alex. Fantastic people, and it just kind of capped off a great weekend. And this is what we like to do, you guys. This is the adventures part of Adventures in Board Gaming, is getting out of your local town, getting out of your basement, and seeing how other people in the world do it. Man, this place is really cool. It sets the bar pretty high in terms of what board game cafes and stores can do. And can't wait to come back. Do check us out on social media, somewhere on the table below. Check out This Game Is Broken, and just remember, guys. Life is an adventure.
Bring a game.
Sure.
Except for when you go to Meepleville, they have games. You don't have
So, since I was at PAX Unplugged this past weekend, I wanted to give just a little bit of a report to let you guys in on how everything went at PAX Unplugged, and well, basically from my point of view at least. And I have to tell you, from my point of view, PAX Unplugged was a tremendous success. I heard stories on either end of the spectrum on some downfalls and triumphs that were had by different people at PAX Unplugged, but I have to say that PAX Unplugged, especially for a first step into the foray, I know they have other PAX conventions throughout the year, but this is the first mainly board gaming one that they've had, and it was a real success. There were a lot of good things about it, and there's a lot more than I can talk about here, but let me just say that I can't wait for PAX Unplugged to come back next year. First of all, Philly is a great city to have a convention in. The location of the convention hall is an amazing location as far as being able to go get something to eat or something to that effect. It's right down the street from Independence Hall and Liberty Bell Center, so it was cool to be able to go to see those things. But I have to tell you that this is probably one of my favorite conventions of this year, and there is the new factor that's there. We were going into it not really knowing what to expect and all that kind of stuff, but having said all that, I think that this is a great convention, and I can only hope that this will continue in the future. I think they've got their heads screwed on straight as far as what and how to run a convention.
Two-player games? I don't even...
What are you doing?
I don't know.
Have you been playing games all night?
Just woke up
Who
out
are you
here.
even playing with?
I don't know. I don't remember playing with anybody. It would have been you. I mean, you're the only one who plays games with me in this house. You're the only one who lives here other than the baby. I honestly don't remember. I don't remember anything. Lose it, and you're gonna lose her. Get together, man. Come on. I'm sorry, babe. I don't know what happened. I literally don't remember.
Okay, well, why don't you go get things for Thanksgiving dinner, and I don't know, maybe reevaluate your priorities.
Okay. I won't let you down. I promise.
Okay.
Going to the store, right? I'm supposed to be getting something for Becky. I'm supposed to be... I'm supposed to be shopping for Becky for something. I can't remember. That's her one. That's her one. No, that's not it. No. That's it. I'm losing it. I'm losing it. Who are you? Get out of my head! Get out of my head!
Are you for real right now? What about your daughter's first Thanksgiving, Max? You love me some board games?
Hey guys, it's Jay, and it's time to talk about your Flair. On 15 pieces of Flair, I'm going to show you guys some ways to spruce up that game room. I recently had a giveaway on my Facebook page, and the grand prize winner was Chaz Brown. So these next few episodes, I'm going to show you guys some stuff that I made for him and put into his Flair package. I saw that on his shelves at home he had Champions of Midgard, one of my all-time favorite games. And I was thinking, I have a spare box for Champions of Midgard because I like to make stuff out of them. And I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to show you guys one of the ways I like to use my spare old boxes and expansion boxes and stuff. So today I made this clock and I'm going to show you how I made it. Let's check it out. For this project, we're going to need an extra box, a basic clock, a small screwdriver, a permanent marker, scissors that are able to cut through cardboard, silver, gold, and oil rubbed bronze spray paint, an X-Acto knife, and masking tape. First, I use the small screwdriver to unplug the clear plastic window from the clock housing. Then I remove the hands from the clock. Then I apply some masking tape to the clock post and mechanism on the back. Then I hang the clock in a well-ventilated area and paint the clock gold and let it dry completely. I go ahead and spray paint the hands silver, also in a well-ventilated area. While those dry, I use the clear window as a guide for my new clock face by tracing around it with a permanent marker. I go ahead and take a large chunk from the box so it is easier to cut the circle out with precision. Then I carefully cut around the circle, cutting chunks off when necessary. Then I find the center of the circle using a square and I punch a hole in the center with a pin. Now back to the clock. After the gold is totally dry, you take the oil rubbed bronze and quickly apply a coat to the clock, and then using a paper towel, rapidly rub off some of the oil rubbed bronze paint to give a distressed finish, and let that dry completely. Then take your clock and new clock face, go ahead and remove your masking tape from the post and the mechanism, then install the new face to the clock. Make sure the top of your new face is aligned with 12 o'clock on the clock. The cardboard around the post will probably look like this. You will want to take your X-Acto knife and clean that up really well. It doesn't have to be perfect, but it should be flush at least. Then you can go ahead and install your hands again. It is easier to go ahead and align your hands to 12 o'clock also. Then reinstall your window and set your time. Boom, there you have it. A quick and easy way to add some flair to your game room. I hope to show you guys some ways to utilize these old extra boxes, the spare boxes, or like expansion boxes. That way they're not just collecting dust, you're not just throwing them away. You're actually getting some good use out of them and making some cool flair. So I hope to show you guys some more ways to do that in the future. But if you guys have any suggestions on games or ideas you'd like me to make into some flair, leave them in the comments below or shoot me a message on Facebook. Pique your interest. Or Twitter or Instagram work too, @halfhandicapped. But don't forget, 15 pieces of flair is the bare minimum. Some people choose to do more, and we encourage that. Have fun, everybody.
Hey gamers, this is Liz Davidson with Beyond Solitaire, and I'm here to bring you a very special holiday episode of SoloThrash, Amerithrash gaming for those of us who prefer to play alone. As you know, the holidays involve lots and lots of togetherness with your family, and most of the time that's a good thing. You get to catch up with the people who love you the most, you get to eat too much food, you get to just kind of hang out and not do anything, which is really the point of the holidays, right? But it also means you're going to be spending a lot of time with people. A lot of time being very close with other people. And sometimes you just need an escape. And for that, I have a perfect solo gaming holiday list for you. The first set of games I want to tell you about is actually a small box series of games. And you might have heard about them, given that they won the Spiel des Jahres this year. Those are the Exit escape room games. Let's get real, you're probably already playing Exit, rehash of the 2016 election. So why not go for something that's easier and more fun, like Exit the Pharaoh's Tomb, or Exit the Abandoned Cabin. Exit is also a good choice because it's the kind of game that you can play by yourself or with one or two other stranded family members who are looking for a means of escape. The second game I'd recommend is Onirim. Not only is it a small box solo game by Shadi Torbay, so it's easy to transport, but it's a very simple card game that is almost therapeutic, except for the fact that you're trapped in your dreams and trying to escape from nightmares who want to keep you there forever. The good news is that if shuffling cards too often is going to wake up your mother-in-law, who's finally passed out from a food coma, well, there's also an app version so you can play in silence. And finally, I would recommend Hostage Negotiator. It's a great solo game that's small, affordable, portable, and thematically appropriate. Because by now, you've probably been cornered by, your grandma who wants to know if you're going to marry your boyfriend yet, or your aunt who wants to know when you're going to have kids. And, Hostage Negotiator just lets you do for others what you couldn't do for yourself. You're going to feel great after you've had a chance to rescue other people from their worst nightmares. And I hope you guys know all of this is in good fun. Mom, Dad, if you're watching this, I love you dearly. And I hope that all of you have a really happy holiday with all the people that care about you the most. Happy holidays and happy gaming.
So basically what I wanted to do here is show you the games that I played and just give you my first initial impressions on them over the course of the weekend. I didn't get a whole lot of games played, but I did play, I think, 5 of them, so I think it's worthy to go over. So these are in no particular order. It's not a top 5 or anything like that. But anyway, my first one was Pie Town. And I have to say that I was interested only slightly by the theme, because basically the theme is you're baking pies in your bakery and you're going out and selling them and so forth and so on. You have a recipe, you have a secret recipe that only you know, and that's another part of the game, is trying to figure out what is everybody else's secret recipe, so that if you can bake somebody else's secret recipe, you'll get extra points and all this kind of stuff. So basically, it's a worker placement game where you are trying to get the most points, and the way you get the most points is by baking pies and by selling them for a good amount of points. Not usually my cup of tea as far as theming is concerned, but the way the game plays out is very fast. I mean, more than once I was like, "Oh, is it my turn again? Oh my, I'm sorry." And because the turns really go that fast. It's a neat little game. Box says it's 60 to 90 minutes. I'd say it's probably going to more often than not settle around the 60-minute mark, but a really fun game. I enjoyed playing it. We'll be reviewing it later. That's Pie Town. Now, a game that Tom brought along to play is this one right here, Tief Taschen. Now, he was bringing this along to play, I think, mainly because it is actually going to be picked up as a Dice Tower Essentials game because he really enjoys the game. But you know what? I do too. I really enjoyed it. Basically, what this means is deep pockets, and you're each taking on the role of the president. Well, one person starts out as the president of whatever, and he is trying to spread the wealth around to the different players of the thing, and it has this I choose, you pick mechanic where, well, kind of, because it's actually a little bit more like Revolution, because you're simply splitting up the loot, and then everybody gets to vote on whether or not they like that loot split up or not. If they like it, well, then it passes and everybody gets their money and all this other kind of stuff. But you have this hand of cards in you, and one card is a 2 thumbs up card, one is a 2 thumbs down card, so that's your voting cards basically. You also have a skim from the top, because the president can also skim from the top. Actually, anybody can skim from the top, but only one person can. So there's that card in the deck. And then there's also a blackmail card and a defend against blackmail card in there. And so basically, you're going through a number of rounds playing these cards and grabbing loot and all this other kind of stuff. And the end of the game is triggered by a card that is placed in the bottom part of the deck, depending on how many players are in the game, and whoever has the most money at the end of the game wins. But it has this thing where you can blackmail other people, and you can bluff blackmail people, because the blackmail token doesn't actually work unless you play your blackmail card. It sounds chaotic, but it actually isn't. It's very structured and it's very fun. We really enjoyed this. We played this a couple times in one night with a couple of different groups of people, and everybody that played really had a great time. So that's Tief Taschen. This one, I saw at Essen, but I wasn't able to try it out. So when they were right across the aisle from us, I knew I wanted to give it a whirl. So I was able to sit down and give a whirl with it, and had a very fun time. It was the demo version of the game, just to give you the basic idea of how everything works. But it has this Mancala mechanic where on one side of the board you are going to choose by picking up a stack of tokens and dropping one on each spot, and that's the Mancala theme. And then wherever your last one ends, that's the action that you do with your dragon on the board. And it has this dragon versus dragon. You're fighting over this territory, and you're hitting them with fire attacks or water attacks. And whenever they lose all of their health points, they lose one section of their body. And if you get the other dragon down to no section of their body, well, you've won the game. So it's a really cool game, abstract strategy game that uses that Mancala mechanism in a very interesting way. So I was very impressed with it. I'm still going to play it some more to see how I really fall as far as how much I like it, or maybe even I'll turn to dislike it. I don't know yet. I've only played it the once, and it was a demo. But so far, my first impression is fun game, and it looks great. So that's Tao Long from Thundergriff Games. The next thing we're going to talk about is a game called Cover Me. And yes, you guessed it, it is a fashion show type of game. And, you know, it's played over the course of 12 rounds, 3 years with 4 seasons in each year. And yeah, that's a little bit too long. That's way too long. We played through, and it's... you know, I like Pret-a-Porter. I like it a lot. It's a great worker placement game that has that fashionista, whatever theme to it, of clothing and runways and all that kind of stuff. But the theme doesn't really hit it for me. But I mean, I like Pret-a-Porter, so I thought, maybe. So we played it, and a lot of the things that are in the game are just not that exciting at all. You're literally doing the exact same thing over and over and over and over and over until finally somebody wins and puts me out of my misery. And the game I played 3 times over the course of PAX Unplugged. I told you guys I was going to play it. I was going to run some games of it, and was able to run 3 games of Blood Rage there at the booth at Geek and Sun on a very nice Geek and Sun table. And I think I had a great time. I know I had a great time, and I hope that everybody else had a great time as well. But we enjoyed ourselves. I did not win a single game. Maybe I'm just a good teacher, or maybe I'm just not very good at the game. But you guys know how I feel about this game. I had a great time. I hope everybody that played had a great time as well, because I just wanted to have that experience with you guys out there. So that is the final game that I was able to play at PAX Unplugged. And you know what? I have to say I had a great time. Hopefully we'll go back next year. Let's get back to the rest of your lunch.
Hey everyone, Tim Jennette the Metal Meeple here, and this is the Budget Card Game Breakdown. Hey everyone, this week I wanted to go over a small little game because that's what this budget card game breakdown's about, and it's a game called Agent Hunter. If you're a fan of games like Brave Rats and Love Letter and things like that, where there's not that many cards but there's some cool interactions going on, this one's worth checking out, and I'm going to show you what's in it. So basically each player gets a deck of agent cards. There is a 0 through 9, so you get 10 cards essentially, and you get these 5 little tokens. They're called decoy tokens. We're going to put these to the side. The gameplay is pretty simple. Each player is going to put down 3 safe houses. These safe houses are selected by that player. So does blue. And then one player is going to begin. Now, to play, there's only 3 actions you can pick, and on your turn you do one of those actions, then it's the opposite player's turn. The first type of action you can do is an attack from your hand. So in this case, I can attack from my hand with a 4. I choose one of the opponent's safe houses to pick. Maybe I do the middle one. And he says either higher, lower, or the same. And he's talking about my card. My card is either higher than this card, or it's lower than this card, or it's going to be the same. If it's the same, we would reveal it. But let's just say he says it's higher. So I know something. I know that it's probably, or has to be a 3, 2, 1, or a 0. So I put this back in my hand, but this gives him information because he knows that I don't have a 4 out there. Anyway, the second type of action you can do is to swap one of your safe houses with a card from your hand. So Red doesn't reveal this, but he knows that, you know, he has a 3 here, so he doesn't want to, he wants to play it safe. So he puts this back into his hand, and he puts another one out instead. When he does that, he's going to put a decoy token there, and that's going to signify a couple things at the end. One, you can only do that 5 times throughout the game, and at the end of the game, it's also worth victory points. So let's just say he does it once. The third type of attack you can do is actually attack from your safe house. So let's just say I know what this is. It's a 2. I don't think I have a 2 out here, but if my safe house was a 2, let's just say for instance, and I've narrowed it down to where this is a 2, I can attack from my safe house and attack that safe house, and he would reveal it. Now, if I was wrong, say I attacked it with this, and it's a 2 and not, you know, an 8, then my safe house would become eliminated, and that's very bad news. That's pretty much the game. At the end, whenever one player's safe houses have been eliminated, the opponent scores points for their safe houses. You're going to score 1 point for every safe house that you have eliminated, plus every decoy token that's on it. So it is possible that even though you lose because somebody clears out all 3 of your safe houses, you still win the game because maybe they decoyed way too many times and you get more points than they did off of that. So pretty cool interaction. I actually enjoyed this game. I don't think it's like a you know, something you have to run out to go get, but if you're a fan of these small little card games, like I said, like Brave Rats and Love Letter and things like that, this is definitely one that you can throw in your collection. It's, you know, 20 cards, and it's got 2 reference cards if you want to use those too. But, you know, 20 cards just hanging out in your pocket. I mean, if you, like me, I've got like a little small thing that I put together all these little tiny card games, and it's fun to bring that out or bring it with you on trips and things like that. Because you got tons of small little games and, you know, stuff that you don't necessarily want to sit down and have like, you know, an hour and a half playtime into if you're maybe at dinner and things like that. So I think it's a fun game, and it's definitely worth checking out, like I said, if you like small card games. So if you got any questions, please post them below. Send me an email at timjennette@gmail.com. Follow me on social media at the handle below. Check out my podcast, Meeplecore. And until next time, keep on rocking and rolling dice.
Hi and welcome again to Board Game Opinions. I'm Steve Rain.
I'm Jonathan Hicks.
And I'm Mark Windle. And this, our flavour of the month, is Crosstalk. Crosstalk has been quite popular in the cafe since Jonathan kickstarted. It should be available for retail any day now if it is not ready by the time you see this video. But basically Crosstalk is a team game. It's similar to Codenames, similar to Concept, where you're trying to get your team to say one word. So the Codemasters might be Jonathan and Mark in this case, and their team will be either side of them. And basically they have a look at this card, they roll the dice, they might roll, for example, a 2, and they would have to get their team to say Game of Thrones on their guess. So what they would do is they will take it in turns to give clues, but the important bit about when they give a clue is, well, one, it can't be a proper noun, so you can't say Tyrion or Cersei or even Winter or anything like that. But when they give a clue, so let's say Jonathan gives his first clue, the opposite team get to guess first. So Jonathan will give a clue, they'll have a guess. If you don't get it right, Mark will give a clue and they will have to guess. And these guys will be giving single word clues just like in Codenames. So you've got to be careful about what clue you give the opposite team. The reason this is skillful though is before we give any clues out, Jonathan and Mark get to give their team a special word. So Mark's thinking of one right now, and they will give that team their special word, which is only their team get to see it. Whereas the clues that go in the middle are communal. So Mark has given backstab as a clue, and then what Mark would do when he starts giving his clues in 1, 2 and 3 and so on, he will try and give clues that relate to backstab so that it doesn't actually just relate to Game of Thrones as a whole. Jonathan's gone TV. So obviously Jonathan's trying to get him to get to a TV show, Mark's saying backstab, and then the combinations of the clues they give in the middle should correspond to what the team gets. Before we go into what we think about the game, you also get this, and this is a bit of a weird sheet. Basically you can use this once per word on your card, and basically you can take this and you can say ignore Black's first clue, focus on my second clue, it's the opposite of this, and you can say give this to your team, and based on what all the guesses and the clues have been given so far, it tells that team what they should be looking at and what not. So as a clue giver, you can give a false clue and then tell your team to ignore it, which can throw the other team off if you think they're getting too close. What do we think, Louis?
I love it. Yeah, that hint board makes a huge difference, and timing exactly when you use it, because you can only use it once. You can write as many symbols as you like on it, but when you decide to use it, that's it, it's been used. And as you say, throwing people off with false clues and things, because you've got to be very careful. When you give a clue, the other team get to guess before your team does it. It makes it so tricky. It's just so many interesting decisions to make.
I think working with your player board is important. Obviously, you're trying to not give clues to the show as a whole. If you just give really good clues to Game of Thrones as a whole here, they'll get it. If you give really clues that only link to Game of Thrones with the use of this board here, they might not.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the comparison of code names is going to be the big one, because they're similar-ish with the clue giving and stuff, but I feel, for me, I'm more engrossed in this game because I not only care the clues I care what clues both sides are giving, while the code names is essentially just code for your team. Yeah. So where code names you can get to a point where you're sitting, waiting, going, you get your go done, then we'll have our go. This is constantly, and you're also thinking, have they tried to throw us off with that? And the whole thing's just, it's like a more gameless version.
There's bluff and double bluff and everything.
You could use that as like at the start and do a massive combo of things you're going to do.
That's right.
If you want to.
Said the clues.
As a completely different way of playing.
And you can throw off as well when you're guessing. You've got these little things, so when you're trying to think about what to guess, you write on your team, say, shall we guess this word? And you're not actually saying out loud what you're going to guess. So you're not giving anything away. And then if you haven't got a clue, you can go, I'm going to guess a really stupid thing just to try and throw them off. But you're telling your team you're guessing it's stupid, and there you go.
Yeah, just great. Overall, really love it.
Want to play it more.
Top marks for me as well. All right, that's it. We've been Board Game Opinions, and this month we've been talking about crosstalk. Thank you very much. Bye.
Hey guys, welcome back to Gaming Unplugged. Thanks for joining me again. I hope you're enjoying the content so far. Today we're going to be talking about a very special holiday, Thanksgiving. That's right around the corner. That's right, it's the day that we give thanks. And so I figured it'd be a good opportunity to share with you guys a handful of games that I'm thankful for. What does that mean? It means these are the games that really broke me into the hobby. These are the first games I was introduced to, and that really just basically started the obsession and addiction that I have, as you saw earlier. So without further ado, let's get started. But I think first, let's get a little festive, don't you think? You know, let's really get into the theme of Thanksgiving. Much better. I like it. All right, nothing like a turkey sitting on your head. So the first game on my list of games with special places in my heart that I'm thankful for is Rivals for Catan. It's a two-player only game, and the reason this game holds a special place in my heart is because this is the game that got my wife really into playing games with me. We used to take this to coffee shops and restaurants and just break it out on the table and play it, and it's really fun. And actually, I like this better than regular Catan because there's a lot more player interaction. You can play action cards and do certain actions to damage the other person's city that they're building, which means you can actually reduce their victory points that they have, and so there's a little bit more tug-of-war going on. Now the next game I'm really thankful for because it's the game that got me into cooperative gaming. That's a fairly new concept in the realm of board games if you look at the span of the board game industry all the way back to its roots. But this game everyone knows, and I'm sure most people out there love it as well. That's Pandemic. We picked this game up, and it was the first time I played a game where I wasn't just trying to beat the other player. This is a game you're working together as a team to try to stop viruses from spreading over the entire planet and killing everybody. So it's definitely a great gateway game to break people into cooperative games, and you really can't go wrong. It's not too heavy, it's not too light, so I think it fits a nice sweet spot for just about anyone, and the playtime's not too long. The next game I'm very thankful for because it introduced me to one of my favorite game genres of all time, and that's worker placement games. And my first worker placement game I got, and this one I actually still do love and play, is Stone Age. I picked this up on Craigslist from some guy. I didn't really know anything about it, and man, when I discovered the mechanic of worker placement and getting in other people's way so that they can't get the resources that they want because you're trying to get them first, man, it just blew my mind. And I really, really enjoy Stone Age, and this game still holds up. The next game I'm thankful for is what got me into deduction and deception games. Never really played any of those before, and once I started playing this game, man, I was hooked, and that is cool. You can still get this game, it's still mass produced, it's fairly inexpensive, and it's just an amazing game. It's so simple. There's 15 cards in the box, and that's it. And each card is a different character that has a different ability, an action that you can take, and that's it. And you're just trying to eliminate the other players, and you're lying. Now, last but not least, this is the tabletop game that broke me into the tabletop gaming hobby and obsession. This is the game that I played, and once I played it, I was sucked in, because that's when I really got the sense of how awesome it is to be in the same room with some friends and get off of a screen, no more video games, and just like use your imagination. And that game is Dungeons and Dragons. That's right, good old D&D. My cousin invited me into a D&D group. I kind of hesitantly accepted because I'd heard of D&D, but I thought maybe that was too nerdy for me, but come on, let's get real. So those are the games that I'm thankful for that broke me into the hobby. What games are you thankful for? Maybe write them in the comments below. And as always, if you guys enjoy the content I'm creating, please follow me on all those socials. I appreciate all that support immensely. So until next time, everyone have a happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your food coma.
So I've run out of games with randomness to talk about in my collection. I've been doing Roll with the Punches for well over a year now, so I need more games to come in to talk about the randomness in, so we're going to be switching up my segment a little bit, so let's see how that goes. What up, peeps? Today I'm going to be talking about how I'm changing up my segment here on Throat Punch Lunch. So I'm now going to be doing a segment talking about why it's there. So I have tons of games in my board game collection, but I don't like to let my board game collection get huge and overgrown, and I don't want to have games around that I don't play all the time. So I do a lot of trading off and just getting rid of games, donating games to local conventions for giveaways and things like that. So I try to keep games that I love in my collection and games that I think that I'm going to be playing. So here in the next few weeks, I'm going to be doing the series of games that I really love and talking about why they're in my collection, and just talk about games that I'm passionate about and games that I want to talk to you guys about and share why I love those games so much. So hopefully you'll enjoy why it's there, and we'll hit it up next week with my very first game that I'm super excited to share with you guys, and we'll see you then.
Hey everybody, Even Steven here. Thanksgiving season is upon us, and what better way to celebrate Thanksgiving than with some good old-fashioned American football. In Mini Helmet Football, the game we're going to be looking at today, it is a dexterity game where you're going to try to score the most points against your opponents by flicking your helmets downfield, making passes, running. All of the things in football are here. Let's take a look. Mini Helmet Football is played across this giant 65-inch by 28 mat. And the goal of the game is to score the most points over 4 possessions for each team, or 4 quarters, in which each team will get possession of the football once. When you have possession of the football, you're going to set up your offense with 3 linemen. You can have 2 wide receivers. You can even make a tight end. The defense can arrange their defensive backs in any order they wish. Then the offensive player will get 1 flick to flick one of any of their offensive players. Then the defense will get a flick to try to block that offensive player from getting the ball. And the offense could maybe flick out another receiver in this case. And the defense again would flick to try to defend them. And then the quarterback, which is 3 helmets back from the line of scrimmage, may move laterally along this line in any way to try to complete the pass to their receiver to gain yardage. So when you're flicking the receiver, you want to have one hand on the table, and you want to make sure your finger is just going to flick the helmet forward. You're not going to flick it and make contact with a tick noise, but you're just going to rather push it towards your receiver. Remember, on a pass play, if the quarterback flicks their helmet and accidentally hits a defensive helmet, it is an interception. Also, if at any time when the offensive player goes downfield to try to make a reception and the defensive player accidentally touches their helmet when they're trying to block the path, it is pass interference, and that would be first down at the 15-yard line at the spot of the foul in this case. If the offensive player scores a touchdown by passing the ball to their receiver, which in this case would be a completion because it's made contact in the end zone, they would score a touchdown, which is worth 6 points. Or if they had a running back, as an example, that ran the ball into the end zone for a touchdown, they would also score 6 points since he reached the end zone. So the extra point, you will place your hand on this placement disc, which is curved upward, and you're going to try to push back and flick this helmet through the upright to get the extra point. On a normal field goal attempt on 4th down anywhere on the field, you will kick from wherever you are. So you may kick from the 10-yard line if you are closer, or all the way back, maybe even on your opposing half of the field to try to attempt a field goal. So you'll just hold this mat here, you'll place your finger and press down and hopefully flick it through the upright to get that extra point or that field goal. Remember, each player gets 4 possessions. After 4 possessions, whoever has the most points is the winner. If it is a tie, we will go to overtime. And you will have a kickoff, starting from the 20-yard line to the 40, the opposing 40, the 20, and finally the goal line until it is sudden death. If a person misses that field goal, they lose until a player is left standing. Okay guys, that is mini helmet football, and I gotta say, I really enjoy this game. It is a perfect balance of dexterity and strategy together that just creates a great mixture of fun for the entire family. Anyone can play this game, anyone can flick the helmets, and the mass appeal with all of these different helmets. You can get all 32 NFL teams from their site when you order, so you can really customize it to that ability, and it really ramps up that level of excitement that you're using your own team that you enjoy. Also, flicking the field goal with that helmet works surprisingly well. With that just little ramp and you flick it up, you can kick it from all the way across this long field. And the really table presence of this game, taking up the entire field, you're flicking your helmets around, people are going to walk by and they're going to be entranced by this game. I could see it being used at parties at home, also tailgating parties at games itself. This is going to go over very well. It's simple to teach, it's easy to play, and it's just a load of fun. Contact Todd, the designer. I'm going to put his name in the description and his email. I will also put the link if you want to purchase this game. This is awesome. If you are a fan of football, if you are a fan of dexterity games, check this game out. We'll see you next time.
Hi everyone on Throw Punch Land, welcome to another episode of The Starting Tile, your first point of call for introducing new players to the hobby with a selection of great and unusual gateway games. Today, I've got an interesting one for you, and trust me on this, it is an interesting game, okay? Alright? I want to show you a game called Dream Home, and... Hey, get back here! Turn it off! Turn it off! Right, okay, look. Don't turn the channel off just yet, okay? Yes, it's called Dream Home. Yes, I know that title is probably going to make you sprint for the door or something, but trust me on this game is a solid gateway game and relatively new. I think it only came out last year, in fact. Dream Home is by Asmodee and Rebel, or Rebel, however you want to pronounce it. And it literally is a game where you are drafting cards in order to build up your dream home. Everybody has a giant tile in front of them, which is basically their entire house, with all the spaces for rooms, a second floor, a first floor, and 2 basements. And what you'll do is that there is a tableau of cards in the center of the table with pairs of cards. Room cards and resource cards. Rooms are the rooms, and resources are things like tools, helpers, roofs, that kind of thing. And what you'll do is that you will choose a column of cards, you'll take them, and then in player order, people will do the same. The first player marker might chop and change depending on what cards and columns are taken. And the idea is that you are slotting these cards, the rooms anyway, into your house.
and you have restrictions on how you can do it. So, you know, you can't build above a space that is empty. You know, you have to build from the ground up, and that includes basement floors. You have restrictions on to how big certain rooms can be, but if you can get the room to its max size, it's worth more points. And it's just a very cute, light gateway game. And cute is a good way to describe it. Because people look at this and they see that title and they go, Dream Home? Ah, is that like one of those little games for kids? Well, I mean, kids could play this easily enough. But trust me, there's more to this than you think. But the game is very straightforward. 12 rounds. Both decks are designed so that on the 12th round, they all run out. So you don't have to keep track of the rounds or anything like that. It's just when the decks run out, game ends. Points are easy to total up. You just look at your rooms, the decor tiles, and you've got a few bonus points for having a roof, because you're collecting roof tiles, and for having what's called functionality bonuses, which is essentially having if you've got a bathroom on both floors, for example, you get some both points. If you've got a kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom, you get some bonus points. You know, i.e., you could live in this home. You don't have to get the bonus points, they're just there. Simple rules, simple to play, looks the business. I mean, the artwork in this is, you know, yes, it's cutesy, but it's sublime. It just sings. You've got the big house tile, you've got all those rooms with colourful artwork. It looks gorgeous. This is a bright and colourful game, which is why I think children will like this, you know, as well. You know, families will get into this definitely. There's no reason. This is a great family gateway game. But if you just want something light and fluffy to get, you know, a new spouse or anything like that into gaming, then this is another solid choice. This turned out to be a hidden gem for me. I didn't think I would like it as much as I did. And yeah, I'm not saying it's the best thing ever, but, you know, it's just, does what it says on the tin. Well, you build up a dream home, yeah, that's on the tin. But it's just nice, colourful, light, fluffy. I like games like Tokaido and stuff like that for the same reason, you know, just light, fluffy, simple games. They're worth doing, and this one is definitely worth your time. So that's it for me on Throat Punch Lunch. See you on the next episode, and remember, no matter what happens on your home, whether it's falling apart or it's not quite as dreamy as you thought, still just a game at the end of the day. You got your own dream home to manage. See you next time, guys. Take care.
So hey, that's it for another Throat Punch Lunch episode in the books. I thank you guys so much for watching. We certainly appreciate it. It's why we put these things out there, so that you guys can enjoy watching them. I want to thank all my contributors. They're hitting it out of the park, every single one of them, and I want to thank them for all the work that they put into their segments. It's not easy putting these segments together, even if it's just 2 times a month. It still takes a lot of time and a lot of labor of love. Really, that's what it is. So I want to thank all of you guys for putting out the segments, and I want to thank the rest of you for watching. We appreciate it. We'll see you guys on the flip side.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.